the nature of effort, and the paradox of attention. Let me ask you a question. Why do people, opportunities, or even life itself seem to pursue you when you stop striving for them? It's a paradox, isn't it? We spend so much of our time chasing, pursuing, and striving, yet when we let go, when we release our grip on the goal often seems to find its way to us. Is this coincidence, or is it a deeper truth about the way the universe works, about the nature of human effort and attention? Socrates, the great philosopher of ancient Athens, believed that wisdom begins with acknowledging what we do not know. And so let us start here with the not knowing. Why does the act of ceasing effort sometimes draw others toward us? Why does the absence of pursuit often create the presence of desire? These questions are not just abstract, they touch something fundamental about the human experience. When we chase something, be it a person, a dream, or a material goal, our energy is directed outward. We send signals to the universe, to those around us, to life itself. I want, I need, I lack.
Click subscribe to this channel to get more profound insights.
And here lies the first philosophical insight: desire, at its core, is an admission of incompleteness. To desire is to confess to the world that you are not whole without the object of your pursuit. And in doing so, you create a tension and imbalance that others can sense. But what happens when you stop? When you cease the chase, when you no longer seek to fill the gap, suddenly that tension dissolves. The energy you once sent outward is now held within. You transform. You become a person who is whole, complete, self-contained. And paradoxically, it is precisely this wholeness that others find irresistible. They are drawn to you not because you are chasing them, but because you are no longer chasing anything. You become, in a sense, a magnet. Now, let us think about this in the context of relationships. Have you ever noticed how, when you stop texting someone, they suddenly start texting you? Or how, when you no longer seem interested, their interest in you grows? This is not merely a psychological trick, it is a reflection of a deeper truth about human nature. When we chase, we create resistance. When we let go, we create space for others to move toward us. But here's the deeper question: why do we chase in the first place? Why do we feel the need to pursue, to strive, to grasp? Is it because we believe that happiness lies outside of ourselves? That fulfillment is something to be obtained, rather than something to be realized. Socrates would challenge us here. He would say, know thyself before you chase anything. Ask yourself, what is it that you truly seek? Is it the object of your desire, or is it the feeling you believe that object will give you? Let us take a moment to reflect on this. Imagine a runner chasing a butterfly. The harder they run, the further the butterfly flies. But if the runner stops, if they sit still and simply observe, the butterfly may come to rest on their shoulder. What is the lesson here? Is it that effort is futile? No, effort has its place. But there is a kind of effort that is grounded in stillness, in presence, in being rather than doing. This is the effort that Socrates would encourage us to cultivate, the effort to know ourselves, to understand our desires, to align our actions with our deeper truths. Yet, this raises another question: if letting go is so powerful, why is it so difficult? Why do we cling, even when we know that clinging pushes what we want further away? Perhaps it is because letting go requires a trust in ourselves, in others, in the unfolding of life. And trust, as we all know, is not easy. It requires us to surrender control, to embrace uncertainty, to accept that we cannot force outcomes. But isn't this what wisdom is all about? To act without attachment to the fruits of our actions? To strive, but not to cling. To desire, but not to depend. As we ponder these questions, let us consider the words of Socrates: the unexamined life, is not worth living, what does this mean in the context of our topic? It means that if we do not examine why we chase, why we cling, why we strive, we will remain prisoners of our own desires. We will continue to run after butterflies, never realizing that the chase itself is what keeps them out of reach. So I ask you, what are you chasing right now and why? Is it because you truly want it, or because you believe you need it to feel complete? And if you were to stop chasing, if you were to let go, what might happen? Would the world fall apart, or might it fall into place? The power of detachment and the art of magnetism. Let us now delve deeper into this paradox of life, where the act of letting go often results in gaining what we once so desperately wanted. This is not just a trick of psychology, but a reflection of a profound truth about human nature and the universe itself. To understand this fully, we must explore two interconnected concepts: detachment and magnetism. What is detachment? Many misunderstand it as indifference or apathy, as if to detach is to no longer care. But this is a shallow interpretation. True detachment is not about rejecting desire or emotion, it is about freeing ourselves from the need for a specific outcome. It is about caring deeply, but without allowing that care to control us. Detachment is the ability to hold something in your hand with an open palm, rather than clenching your fist around it in fear of losing it. Think about this when you hold tightly to something, whether it is a relationship, a goal, or even an idea. What message are you sending? You are saying, I cannot live without this, and in doing so, you give away your power. You make yourself dependent. But when you let go, when you release that need, you reclaim your power. You say to the world, I am whole as I am. I desire this, but I do not need it to complete me, and this is where the art of magnetism begins. Let us consider magnetism. What draws people to certain individuals? Is it their looks, their wealth, their status? Perhaps these things play a role, but they are not the essence. What truly draws people is a sense of completeness, a quiet confidence, a calm presence, an inner peace. When you stop chasing, when you stop trying to prove your worth, you become a magnet. Why? Because you embody what everyone else is searching for: wholeness. Now, let us apply this to relationships. Imagine two people. One is constantly seeking validation, constantly trying to prove their worth, constantly chasing the affection of others. The other is grounded, self-assured, content in their own company. But who do you think others will be drawn to? The answer is obvious. We are drawn to those who do not seek to take from us, but who instead radiate a sense of fullness. And here is the irony: the more you chase others, the more they feel you want something from them, and the more they retreat. But when you stop chasing, when you become whole within yourself, you no longer need anything from them, and it is precisely then that they come to you. This is not manipulation, it is simply a reflection of a deeper truth about human connection. People do not want to be chased, they want to be chosen. They do not want to feel like they are filling a void in your life, they want to feel like they are adding to your already full cup. And so the key to powerful relationships, whether romantic, platonic, or professional, is not to chase, but to cultivate your own wholeness. To become the kind of person others are drawn to, not because you need them, but because you inspire them. But let us not stop at relationships. This principle applies to all areas of life. Consider success. How often do we hear stories of people who struggled for years to achieve their dreams, only to find success when they finally gave up? Of course, they did not truly give up. They let go of their attachment to the outcome. They stopped striving from a place of lack and began acting from a place of abundance. And in doing so, they opened themselves to possibilities they could not see before. Why does this work? Because attachment narrows our vision. When we are fixated on a specific outcome, we become blind to other opportunities, other paths, other ways of being. But when we let go, when we detach, we open ourselves to the infinite possibilities of life. We stop trying to control the flow of the river and instead allow ourselves to be carried by it. And often the river takes us to places far more beautiful than we could have imagined. Let us pause here and ask a question: what are you holding on to right now? What are you clinging to so tightly that it is causing you pain? And what might happen if you were to loosen your grip? If you were to trust that life has a way of working itself out, even without your constant effort. Detachment is not easy. It requires a deep trust in yourself and in the unfolding of life. But it is a trust that is worth cultivating, for it is the foundation of true freedom. When you are detached, you are free, not because you have no desires, but because your desires no longer control you. You are free to act, to strive, to create, without being bound by the fear of failure or the need for success. And in this freedom lies your greatest power. But let us not mistake detachment for passivity. To be detached is not to sit back and do nothing, it is to act with intention, but without attachment to the result. It is to plant seeds, but not demand that they grow according to your timeline. It is to give your best effort, but not tie your self-worth to the outcome. This is the balance that Socrates would encourage us to seek: the balance between effort and surrender, between striving and letting go. And so I ask you again, what are you chasing? And why? What would happen if you stopped? Would the world truly fall apart, or might it fall into place in ways you cannot yet imagine? As we move forward, let us explore how this philosophy of detachment and magnetism can transform not only our relationships and goals, but also our very understanding of life itself. Let us ask, what is the ultimate purpose of our striving? And what does it mean to live a life that is both intentional and free? The ultimate freedom, living without fear or attachment. Let's talk about freedom, not the kind of freedom that's granted by laws or governments, but the kind that happens inside of you. The freedom to wake up and move through life without being enslaved by fear, without being shackled to outcomes, without feeling like your worth hinges on something or someone outside of yourself. At its core, this is the freedom Socrates spoke of when he said, "He who is not contented with what he has would not be contented with what he would like to have." It sounds simple, but it's a staggering truth. Most of us spend our lives in a state of quiet hunger, chasing, striving, grasping for something we think will make us whole. But the moment we get it, that hunger doesn't disappear, it shifts to a new target. A better job, a better relationship, more money, more recognition. The cycle repeats endlessly. So here's the uncomfortable truth: freedom isn't about having everything you think you need. It's about realizing you never needed it in the first place. But how do we get there? How do we live in a way where our peace isn't at the mercy of our circumstances? The first thing to understand is that attachment is the root of most of our suffering. To be attached to something is to tie your happiness to it. It means saying, "I'll be okay only if this person stays," or "I'll feel successful only if I achieve this goal." Or, "I can't be happy unless I have this thing," but life is unpredictable. People leave. Goals don't always work out. Things break or get taken away. And when that happens, what are you left with? If your sense of self is tied to something external, you're left with nothing. But here's the paradox: when you let go of attachment, when you stop needing something to feel whole, you don't lose your ability to enjoy life. You gain it. You can still want things, still pursue goals, still feel love and connection, but now, these things are additions to your life, not the foundation of it. You're not clinging to them out of fear. You're engaging with them from a place of strength. Let's be clear, letting go doesn't mean giving up. It doesn't mean you stop caring or stop trying. It means you stop letting your sense of worth depend on what happens. You stop trying to control everything, and in doing so, you actually gain more power. Why? Because when you're not desperate for an outcome, you can see things more clearly. You can make better decisions. You can act from a place of clarity instead of fear. Think about a time when you wanted something so badly that it consumed you. Maybe it was a person you wanted to impress, a job you were desperate to get, or a goal you were obsessed with achieving. How did that desperation feel? Did it make you stronger, or did it make you anxious and reactive? Now think about a time when you went into a situation feeling calm, confident, and unattached to the outcome. How much better did that feel? And how much better did things actually turn out? This is the power of detachment. It's not about giving up control, it's about understanding that control is an illusion. You can influence outcomes, yes. You can work hard, make plans, and give your best effort. But you can't guarantee that life will go the way you want it to. And fighting against that truth only creates suffering. Accepting it, on the other hand, creates freedom. Here's where it gets interesting. The less attached you are, the more attractive you become to people, to opportunities, to life itself. Why? Because detachment isn't just about letting go of fear. It's also about letting go of neediness. And neediness repels. Whether it's in relationships, careers, or any other area of life, people are drawn to those who don't need them. Why? Because those people feel strong, self-sufficient, and whole. And deep down, that's what we all want to feel. Think about someone you admire. Maybe it's a friend, a mentor, or even a public figure. What is it about them that inspires you? Chances are it's not just their achievements or their talents, it's their energy. They move through life with a sense of calm confidence. They don't seem desperate or frantic. They seem free. That freedom is magnetic, and it's something you can cultivate within yourself. But freedom doesn't mean you stop caring. In fact, it's the opposite. When you're no longer weighed down by fear and attachment, you can care more deeply. You can give more of yourself, because you're not afraid of losing something in return. You can love without expecting anything back. You can work toward a goal without being crushed if it doesn't happen. You can show up for life fully, because you're no longer holding back out of fear. So what does this actually look like? It's not some abstract ideal. It's practical. It's a mindset you can bring into every part of your life. In relationships, it means being honest and vulnerable, but not clinging to someone out of fear of being alone. In your career, it means giving your best effort, but not tying your self-worth to whether you succeed or fail. In your day-to-day life, it means being present, truly present, because you're not constantly chasing the next thing. Let's go even deeper. What happens when you let go, not just of attachment to people or goals, but to your own ego? What if you stop needing to prove anything? What if you stop defining yourself by your achievements, your possessions, or even your past? Who would you be then? This is the ultimate freedom, not just freedom from fear, but freedom from the false self. The self that says, I am what I own. I am what I achieve. I am what others think of me. Letting go of that self doesn't mean you lose your identity. It means you find your true one. And here's the final twist: when you stop trying to be someone, you become everything. When you stop trying to control life, you align with it. When you stop chasing, you start attracting. This isn't just a clever idea, it's a principle that has been echoed by some of the greatest thinkers in history. Socrates called it wisdom. The Taoists called it wu-wei, or effortless action. Modern psychology calls it flow. Whatever name you give it, the truth is the same. The less you force, the more life opens up to you. So what now? What's the takeaway? It's this: stop running, stop gripping, stop living as if your happiness depends on something you don't yet have. Instead, live as if you're already whole, because you are. And when you do, you'll find that the things you once chased will start chasing you. Not because you need them, but because you've become the kind of person who doesn't. And that, my friend, is the ultimate freedom.